Well, howdy there, folks. James coming at you again from the Political Friar. Yeah, you knew this one was going to be about the speaker, or, the lack of speaker. Earlier today, Jim Jordan held a vote on whether or not the Republican conference wanted him to be the Speaker of the House, and he lost. He lost bad. He could afford to lose four Republicans from voting yes for Jim Jordan being the Speaker, and he lost 20. That's a lot. That's way more than he can afford. It goes without saying. And this is after a weekend of some of the most intense lobbying that has been seen. There were Congress people who received calls from Sean Hannity threatening them with negative coverage on the Sean Hannity show if they didn't support Jordan, demanding explanations. This is a media personality bullying a congressperson. Well, it probably worked, at least to a degree. Remember, 55 Republicans said that they would not support Jordan on the floor, but that was an anonymous vote in conference. Now, 20 of those folks openly did not support Jordan. More than enough to keep Jordan from being speaker, but it also says that there's probably a good number of Republicans who would prefer Jordan fail. They maybe don't want to put their name on the line of the execution order for Jordan's political chances of being speaker, but they want him to lose. And there are enough Republicans who are establishment or moderate or mainstream or pre-Trump. I don't know how you want to describe them, but there are enough Republicans who stick with the institution of the House and will vote against Jordan unless something drastic changes. And we are oddly and ironically in a very similar position to the one that Kevin McCarthy faced in January. As the Republican conference is constituted, a very small minority of members can block a speaker from being elected. And there's no way the Democrats are going to help the Republicans out of their their civil war, at least not for anything less than a pound of flesh. I mean, what's the old adage? If the enemy is making a mistake, don't interfere. Well, the Republicans are making a mistake. This is a bad look. This is going to be politically harmful regardless of how it turns out. The thing that American people will eventually cotton to is the idea that a non functioning government is bad for them. And the Republicans are refusing to govern. They're refusing to govern over principle. They're taking their ball and going home over principle. They are letting the perfect be the enemy of the good in a extreme manner. And it's a surefire way for the Democrats over time to actually accrue power. But for now, we still have a Republican majority, and we still have to figure out what they're going to do to get a speaker installed. And there's a couple of options. You could rally around Jordan. I don't see these proud Republicans, people who are chair people of committees, people who have been in the Congress for 20 plus years, people who don't rely on Donald Trump for their political health because they are establishments in their own right. I mean, once upon a time, Winston Churchill said that the American Congress is made up of 438 or 35 parties, not two. And that's because these congressmen and women have bases of their own. I mean, do you think that the congressman from Oregon, the Republican congressman from Oregon who won a close election, is going to be intimidated by being associated with Donald Trump? Heck no. She ran so hard away from Donald Trump during the general election last time around, and she barely won. If she had been more closely associated with Donald Trump, she wouldn't have, despite having a rather lackluster opponent that last time. So, hey, Lori, good work. Proud you're representing my state here in Oregon. I I don't know what's going to happen next. It's possible that they will have a kick the can kind of thing where they can potentially some Republicans can join with Democrats to allow McHenry to bring specific legislation to the floor, things that are like the appropriations that are necessary, maybe even just a continuing appropriations bill, a clean continuing resolution, just to give them more time. They're also I do think Congress wants to vote on Israel. So that's one way out. Another way out would be somebody completely different. There's been a few people who have been suggested. Representative Lee Zeldin, who ran for governor of New York and did a credible job, he represents Long Island, and he is a moderate Republican who has his own base, and he could very well run. He hasn't shown any interest in it, but he's the sort of person who you might find interested in breaking this logjam. The question is, would the right wing then revolt? And the answer probably is yeah. Yeah. Remember, Donald Trump is at least a co author of this chaos. And he is right to note that the chaos helps him. I guess get your popcorn out, buckle your seatbelts. I hope the ideal circumstance would be that the huge majority of the Republican conference cuts a deal for specific concessions with the Democrats and changes the rules so that you can't unseat a speaker very easily, not without a good number of people calling for the vacatur motion, and in return gives Democrats a few discrete concessions for a moderate Republican speaker. Something like, let's say Lee Zeldin becomes speaker, and in return, the Democrats have guaranteed votes on DACA, Dreamers. You have a guaranteed vote that the Dreamers program will actually come to the floor for consideration. Something like that. It probably won't happen, but you know, what is politics if you can't have hopes and dreams? Anyway, it's just my thought. Go ahead and tell me how wrong I am down in the comments below, and please like this video, hit that subscribe button, tell your friends. It's the only way this gets out there. All right, thanks.